So it is 4:00 a.m.
Oh boy, here we go.
Right. You wake up, you drink a glass of perfectly green juice, you meditate in just absolute total silence for an hour,
Naturally.
and then, you head outside to run a marathon before the sun even comes up. Sound familiar?
Yeah, I think we have all seen those perfect morning routines online.
We absolutely have.
Yeah.
But today we are doing a deep dive into why trying to copy them is actually setting you up for failure.
And more importantly, what you should be doing instead.
Exactly. And if you are listening right now, you likely have two goals. First, you want to practice your English,
Right.
but you want to do it without being rushed by, super fast talking or confused by overly academic jargon.
Yeah, we want to keep it accessible.
Definitely.
Yes,
And second, you want to walk away with some practical insights that actually make your everyday life a little easier.
So to our listener, I promise we are going to keep the pace comfortable and clear today.
Yes, a nice relaxed pace. We are going to explore the fascinating battle between the perfect routine and just a normal, messy, real life.
Which is what most of us actually have. And, the psychology behind those perfect internet morning routines is completely fascinating.
It really is. Like, why do we love watching them?
Well, when we watch a video of someone waking up at 4 a.m. and flawlessly executing a 10-step plan, we are drawn to it because it looks like certainty.
Oh, that makes sense. Certainty.
Yeah, it looks like they have completely mastered their environment. Everything is under control.
But trying to force that level of perfection onto a normal human life,
yeah.
I mean, it usually has the exact opposite effect, right?
Totally. It doesn't motivate us at all. It just makes us feel incredibly inadequate before we have even managed to find our socks.
Right. You wake up sleepy, you realize you forgot to buy coffee, and, well, the entire day feels completely derailed right out of the gate.
Exactly. And to understand why that 4:00 a.m. marathon routine fails for most normal people, we have to look at how we define the concept of a routine in the first place.
And for you listening, this actually brings up an incredibly useful English word. The word is rigid.
Rigid. Yes,
Yeah.
such an important word for this topic.
We often assume that a good routine has to be completely rigid. If something is rigid, it means it's stiff. It is fixed. It cannot change.
There is absolutely zero room for error.
Right. It won't bend, and it won't accommodate any changes. Okay, let's unpack this. If rigid means stiff or fixed, like a rule that just cannot be broken, isn't that a good thing for discipline?
Well, people assume that a rigid schedule is the only way to build discipline.
Yeah, I think I used to believe that.
The logic is that if you give yourself any flexibility, you'll just get lazy and do nothing. So they construct this incredibly strict, minute-by-minute plan.
But let's look at how that actually functions in the real world. Think about building a bridge out of solid concrete.
Okay, solid concrete.
A solid concrete bridge is incredibly rigid. It looks strong, right? But engineers will tell you that a rigid bridge is actually dangerous.
Oh, wait, really? Dangerous.
Yeah, because if an earthquake hits, or even if there are just heavy winds, that solid concrete bridge cannot flex. The moment you apply unexpected pressure, the whole structure cracks and collapses.
Wow. That makes perfect sense.
But a modern suspension bridge, on the other hand, is specifically designed to sway and bend in the wind. The flexibility is what actually keeps it standing.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. I love that analogy.
Thanks.
Because if your routine is a rigid concrete bridge, what happens when real life provides a little bit of wind?
The wind being like everyday problems.
Right. Let's say your alarm doesn't go off and you oversleep by just 10 minutes. Because your routine is completely inflexible, that tiny 10-minute delay causes the entire structure to collapse.
It just shatters.
Yes. You miss the first step, so you assume the whole routine is ruined. You abandon the rest of your healthy habits for the day.
Oh, I have done that so many times. You miss 10 minutes, and your brain immediately says, well, the routine is broken, I failed. I might as well eat a donut and scroll on my phone for the next hour.
Which brings us to the immediate psychological reaction when that rigid routine breaks.
The aftermath.
Exactly. We don't just objectively analyze the situation and say, oh, well, I'll adjust the schedule.
No, we definitely do not do that.
We internalize the failure. We attack ourselves emotionally. And there is a very common English phrase we use to describe this behavior. We say we beat ourselves up.
Beat ourselves up. Yes, to our listener, that is such a key phrase to know.
We really do beat ourselves up over the smallest things.
We do. When you beat yourself up, you're criticizing yourself way too harshly for a small mistake.
It's like you become your own worst enemy.
Exactly. You miss a workout, Or, say, you forget to study your English vocabulary for one day. And instead of just moving on, you spend the next 12 hours telling yourself that you were lazy or undisciplined or foolish.
You are beating yourself up.
Yes.
And the irony is that beating yourself up actually drains the exact mental energy you need to get back on track.
Oh, that's so true.
It creates a negative feedback loop. You feel bad, so you criticize yourself, which makes you feel worse, which makes it even harder to do the healthy habit the next day.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is. And the research strongly suggests that we beat ourselves up because we misunderstand the fundamental purpose of a routine.
How so?
We often build these strict schedules and then act as if the schedule is our boss. We act like we are the servant and the routine is the master.
Wow. That's a massive paradigm shift.
Right.
A routine should serve you. You should not serve the routine.
Yes,
It
exactly.
is just a tool you invented to make your day smoother. If the tool is making you miserable, it is a bad tool.
It really is that simple.
But we forget this because we so easily fall into the habit of doing what we think we are supposed to do.
Another great English phrase for our listener. Fall into the habit.
Let's look at that one. When you fall into the habit, it means you start doing something regularly without making a conscious, deliberate choice to do it.
You just slowly adopt the behavior over time.
Right. Often by copying the people around you or the media you consume, we fall into the habit of performing for an imaginary audience.
Like the internet morning routines.
Exactly. We see a video that says successful business leaders take freezing cold showers at 5 a.m., so we think, well, I have to do that.
Right? Even if you hate the cold.
We fall into the habit of forcing ourselves through these punishing steps, completely ignoring what our own specific bodies and minds actually need to function well.
So if we throw away the rigid, punishing routines, we have to replace them with something that actually serves our needs.
Right. What should we be doing instead?
This is where the concept of grounding becomes so important. Instead of starting the day with high-intensity productivity, psychology suggests starting the day by grounding yourself.
Grounding. That's our next key vocabulary word today. For our listener, when you do something that is grounding, you are doing an activity that anchors you.
It makes you feel stable.
Yes, stable, calm, and deeply connected to the present moment physically. Think of a tall tree.
Oh, I like this.
The wind might be howling through the branches, right?
Yeah.
But the roots are driven deep into the earth. The tree is grounded.
Yes.
Before you face the chaos of your workday, a grounding activity pulls your nervous system out of that panicked fight-or-flight mode.
Because biologically, when you wake up, your cortisol levels, those are your stress hormones. They are naturally quite high.
I always feel that rush of stress right when I wake up.
Everyone does. And if you immediately look at your phone, read stressful news, or rush out the door, you spike those stress hormones even higher.
Not a great way to start.
No. Grounding activities lower your heart rate and signal to your brain that you are safe. And a very real-world example of this doesn't involve an hour of meditation.
What does it involve?
It can simply be sitting with a warm cup of tea for 5 minutes.
Oh, I love that. 5 minutes? No mobile phone?
No answering emails?
Just paying attention to the warmth of the cup and the taste of the tea, it sounds incredibly simple, almost too simple to be considered a routine.
But it physically alters how your brain approaches the next hour.
That's amazing.
Now, if sitting still with tea doesn't work for your personality, there is another way to ground yourself in the morning, which involves focusing on a small win.
A small win.
Yeah, a small win is a tiny, easily achievable task that you complete right away. The classic example is making your bed.
Taking just, 60 seconds to pull the blankets up and make the pillows look neat?
Exactly. And the mechanism behind why making your bed works is pure neuroscience.
Really? Just making the bed.
Yeah. When you complete a task, even a microscopic one, your brain releases a small amount of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Right. That dopamine hit gives you a feeling of competence. It sends a subconscious message that says, I am a person who gets things done. I've already accomplished something today. So achieving that small win is how you set the tone for the rest of your day.
Set the tone, yes.
And for you listening, to set the tone is a brilliant English phrase to use. It means to establish the mood or the baseline feeling for whatever's going to happen next.
Think of it like tuning a musical instrument before a concert.
Perfect example. If you start your morning by frantically searching for your keys, dropping your bag, and running out the door, you have set a chaotic tone.
A very stressful tone.
Your brain just expects the rest of the day to be a panicked emergency.
But if you start with one calm, completed task like making the bed, or enjoying that quiet cup of tea, you set a capable, structured tone.
So you are preparing yourself for success.
Yes, you are priming your brain's pattern recognition to look for more calm, capable moments throughout the day.
Okay, the science makes sense. I get the small wins. But here is where it gets really interesting. I have to push back a little.
Okay, let's hear it.
What about the listener whose life is inherently chaotic? The theory of a quiet cup of tea sounds lovely. But what if you have two screaming toddlers who wake you up at 5:30 a.m. by literally jumping on your head?
Yeah, the tea is probably going to get spilled.
Exactly. Or what if you work a night shift in a hospital and your morning actually starts at 4 p.m. when the rest of the world is having dinner?
That's a very real scenario.
Or what if your work schedule changes wildly from week to week? For a lot of people, any kind of predictable daily routine just seems mathematically impossible.
You are absolutely right. That is the reality for millions of people, and it is exactly why the rigid, concrete bridge approach completely fails them.
It just shatters.
Yes. If your life is unpredictable, trying to force a fixed schedule will just guarantee that you spend every day beating yourself up.
Because you can never stick to it.
Exactly. So to solve this, we have to completely change how we think about scheduling. We need to stop focusing on a sequence of events and start thinking of our routine as a menu.
A menu. Like you're walking into a restaurant.
Precisely. When you sit down at a restaurant, you do not order every single item on the menu.
That would be absurd.
Yeah.
And very expensive.
Right. You look at the menu, you assess how hungry you are, you see how much time you have, and you choose the specific items that fit your current situation.
I see where you're going with this.
A morning routine should operate on the exact same principle. You create a personal menu of small positive habits.
So instead of a 10-step checklist that you must complete in order, you have a list of options.
Options, exactly.
Let's say your personal menu has 5 items on it. Making the bed, doing a 5-minute stretch, drinking a quiet cup of tea, reviewing 3 English vocabulary words, and writing down one thing you were grateful for.
Great menu. Now, on a morning where things go smoothly, maybe the toddlers sleep in or you have a day off from your night shift, you have plenty of time.
So you can order a big meal.
Exactly. You look at your menu and you order a large breakfast, so to speak. You might choose to do 3 or 4 of those items. You stretch, you make the bed, you have your tea.
But then Tuesday arrives.
Oh, Tuesday.
It is pure chaos. You sleep through your alarm, the dog throws up on the rug, and you are instantly running 20 minutes late.
We have all had that Tuesday.
You do not have time for a full routine.
And in a rigid system, Tuesday is a failure. You skip your routine, you beat yourself up, and your stress levels skyrocket.
Right. The bridge collapses.
But with the menu system, Tuesday is not a failure at all.
Because you still have choices.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just look at your menu and realize you only have time to order a very small item. You take exactly 60 seconds to make the bed, and then you leave the house.
You still picked one item from the menu. You still secured a small win.
And you still set a positive tone, even in the middle of a chaotic morning.
That is fantastic. The brilliant thing about this approach is that it completely removes the failure condition. Because the system is designed to be flexible, you are never actually breaking your routine.
It restores your sense of autonomy. When life gets chaotic, we feel out of control. Choosing one small thing from your menu gives you back a tiny piece of control.
It grounds you.
Exactly. It reminds you that you don't need a perfectly quiet, idealized life to have a meaningful day. You just need a toolkit of good options to choose from, depending on what reality throws at you. You adapt to the environment instead of fighting it.
That is the core takeaway for you as you listen today. Whether you are managing a busy household, navigating irregular work shifts, or just trying to find 10 spare minutes to practice your English, you don't need to hold yourself to an impossible standard.
Not at all.
Let's quickly review the tools we discussed today. We looked at why a rigid routine one that absolutely refuses to bend is just setting you up to fail.
It's just a concrete bridge.
Right. We explored the danger of beating yourself up or criticizing yourself unnecessarily when life gets in the way.
Which drains your energy.
We discussed how easily we fall into the habit of copying routines that don't actually serve us.
Performing for the internet.
We unpack the biological benefits of grounding yourself to lower stress.
Like drinking that simple cup of tea.
And finally, we saw how a tiny, flexible, small win from your personal menu can set the tone for the rest of your day.
You know, understanding those 5 phrases gives you a serious advantage in your English fluency because they are incredibly common in natural conversation.
They really are.
But more importantly, the concepts behind the language offer a very real way to lower your daily anxiety.
It is about giving yourself permission to be flexible. You can stop trying to be the perfectly disciplined robot you see in an internet video and start building a suspension bridge that actually survives your real messy life.
I couldn't have said it better. And, as we wrap up this exploration, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Oh, I love a good final thought. What is it?
Well, we have spent a lot of time analyzing how a small win in the morning sets the tone for the hours ahead, but I want you to consider the very end of your day.
The end of the day.
Okay.
Think about the last messy task of your evening. It might be washing a single dirty pan left in the sink or putting your shoes back in the closet instead of just kicking them onto the floor. Oh, I'm guilty of the shoe thing.
We all are, but could the way you handle that final evening task actually be the secret to setting the tone for your next morning?
Oh, wow.
When you wake up and see that clean sink, does tomorrow's menu suddenly look a lot more appetizing?
That is a phenomenal question. It suggests that tomorrow's grounding actually begins tonight.
Something to think about.
We will leave you to think about that. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Keep practicing your English at a pace that works for you. Remember to give yourself some flexibility when things go wrong and enjoy finding those small wins on your daily menu. We will catch you next time.